5 Social Security scams and how to avoid them. Number 1. The impersonation scam. One of the most prevalent Social Security scams involves imposters posing as SSA officials. Scammers may reach out via phone, email, or even in person, claiming there is a problem with your Social Security benefits. They often use fear tactics to pressure you into providing sensitive personal information, like your Social Security number or bank account details. Here's how to avoid that scam. Never share personal information over the phone or email unless you initiate the contact. Hang up on suspicious calls coming from individuals claiming to be SSA representatives. Verify the legitimacy of any communication with the SSA by calling the official SSA phone number or visiting the official website. Number 2. The fake Social Security card scam. Scammers also target individuals seeking replacement Social Security cards. They may offer to expedite the process or claim you need to pay a fee for a new card, which is typically free. The scammers then keep the fake fee you paid to them, and you won't receive the replacement Social Security card. Here's how to avoid this scam. Request a replacement Social Security card directly from the official SSA website or office. Never pay for a replacement card. It should be free. Be cautious of any online services claiming to provide a card for a fee. Number 3. The threat of benefits suspension scam. In this scam, fraudsters claim that your Social Security benefits will be suspended due to criminal activity or a problem with your account. They may demand immediate payment or personal information to resolve the issue. Here is how to avoid this scam. Understand that the Social Security Administration will not threaten to suspend your benefits without prior communication. Verify any claims of benefit suspension by contacting the SSA directly. Report any suspicious calls or messages to the Federal Trade Commission and the SSA. Number 4. The investment opportunity scam. Scammers sometimes present enticing investment opportunities claiming they can boost your Social Security benefits or provide you with additional income. These schemes often require upfront fees or involve fraudulent investments. And here's how to avoid this scam. Be skeptical of any investment offer that promises to increase your Social Security benefits. Research investment opportunities thoroughly and consult a trusted financial advisor. Avoid investments that require you to share your Social Security number or personal information. Number 5. The Social Security overpayment scam. In this scam, fraudsters claim that you have received excess Social Security benefits and must repay them immediately. They may pressure you to make payments via gift cards, wire transfers, or other untraceable methods. And this is how to avoid this scam. Verify any overpayment claims by contacting the SSA directly. Be cautious of anyone demanding unusual payment methods or threatening legal action. Report suspected overpayment scams to the SSA and the FTC. Other ways to protect yourself from scams. Invest in a reputable identity theft protection service, like LifeLock, which is probably the best known. Protecting your Social Security benefits and personal information is crucial to securing your retirement. By staying informed about common Social Security scams and following these tips, you can reduce the risk of falling victim to fraudsters. Remember, the Social Security Administration will never ask for your sensitive information or demand immediate payment over the phone or email. I based this video on an article from ℸ𝕝𝕉𝕉. Please read her full article at the link listed.
It's Ron Brown with Tech for Senior. Chromebook purchase consideration for your new Chromebook. You know, it was about 10 years ago when I bought my first Chromebook. Prior to that, leading up 5 years before that, Chromebooks were only sold to school districts and were not commercially available to the public, such as you'd buy in Best Buy. I was fortunate enough to get one of the first Chromebooks made by Samsung. That started my journey on Chromebooks, and Huey and I at Tech for Senior had a series called Learning Chromebooks, and we did a monthly show for 3 years, 36 editions, and I'll put the link and playlist down below. It's now October 2023, and the choice for Chromebooks has never been better. I have a Pixelbook that still is doing well. I'm so pleased to enjoy the Chrome operating system. Today I wanted to make a video to help you with the difficult choice of what Chromebook should I buy. There is such a huge selection out there, and with Black Friday coming, with Amazon Prime Day, Christmas, and all the great times we're going to have in the next few months, there's going to be some great deals on Chromebooks. So I wanted to make this video so I can give you some important points to look for when you're going to purchase your Chromebook. Now, it was just a stroke of luck that I decided to do the video in the first week of October, because last week everything changed and Google announced a new set of standards for Chromebooks, and I'm going to discuss that in this video. So let's look at this and see how I can help you. At Tech for Senior, we all volunteer our time, so we do appreciate that like and subscribe. It really does help the channel to continue making the great videos we do. I personally have made a lot of Chromebook videos, and I'll put the link down below so you're able to look at those. You might find some that are interest. I did produce one recently on the automatic update expiry date, which has changed a bit on Chromebooks. You may want to watch that video. It just was released last week. All right, so the first thing, we should set a budget, and I'm going to set the budget for your Chromebook between $300 and $600 US. I think that's a good range for you. It's a pretty broad range, and you'll see why that's so important in a few minutes. So where do you find Chromebooks? Well, you can certainly see them at Costco. Best Buy sells them, Walmart sells them, and of course Amazon online. All these places have great selection on Chromebooks. One of the things I always recommend is that you actually physically have a look at the machine, so you can look at how bright the screen is, have a look at the physical characteristics of it. This sometimes is difficult online, so if you are purchasing it, it might be not a bad idea to pop by Best Buy and actually have a look at some. Walmart has a great selection online. Be careful, you always want to buy it if it's only sold at Walmart. A lot of third-party sellers on that. I think this is a good time to mention as well, as I said earlier in the video, Chromebooks are sold to school districts. These are sold in big numbers and are often made specifically for those school districts. In other words, the specifications are for a grade 4 student might be a little bit different than what we would expect as per the screen resolution and so on and so forth. So you have to be very careful, because what happens with these Chromebooks in school districts is they're usually leased, and the lease companies take them back after 3 or 4 years, refurbish them, and you often find these online, particularly on Amazon. And these are really not great machines because they're often, the screen resolution's lower. The automatic update expiry date usually is chewed up by 3 or 4 years, so it limits the functionality of these machines. So please be careful if you're looking at a Chromebook to purchase it online and it says it's refurbished. make sure that it's not one of the leasebacks that's coming from the school district. The first thing you need to do when you are purchasing a Chromebook is to decide what you're going to use it for. Now, Chromebooks are made in two different ways. Most people will buy a Chromebook as a laptop, and that's great. It's going to sit on your desk, but if you never move it, if it's going to sit there and just never move from your desk, do you really need a mobile laptop? That is why we also have Chrome boxes. Now, the Chrome box is the same concept as in a Windows PC, like a ℙ𝕝𝕝𝕃, we've talked about those before, or the Apple Mini. So we have a Chrome box. Now, the advantage of a Chrome box is, and you'll see this in the diagram here, is that these are very small. These can be configured to any size you want with any processors. And the other thing is, some of them even have no moving parts. They're fit in the palm of your hand, and you can simply travel around with these, and all you have to do is plug in a keyboard, a screen, whatever you want. It works just by plugging it in, and you've got your computer. If you have your favorite keyboard around, plug it in. So these are very small and work well. So if you don't need the battery and you don't need a laptop, think about a Chrome box. The biggest selection of Chrome boxes, of course, is on Amazon. Now, the next thing you need to consider on your Chromebook is the screen. And this is by far what we're going to spend a lot of time today talking about. The screen is so important. And the first is what you need to do is consider size. Now, let's assume about 95% of you will be buying a laptop, a Chromebook laptop. And so the sizes of the laptops screens will range anything from really tiny to 8 inches to probably up to about 17 inches, with the most common size being 14 or 15 inches. Now, my advice is to stay away from the 17-inch Chromebooks. There are some Chromebooks that are quite big. They do have large screens, but they're almost luggable. I think they're too big. And you see these, there's actually one at Costco now for sale. I think that you should consider probably a 14 or 15 inch. Now, remember, you can plug any size of monitor into a Chromebook. Now, I've always talked about this with seniors, particularly size matters, and the bigger, the better. If you've had problems with your eyes, you have problems with vision, you can plug any size of monitor into a Chromebook. So don't worry about buying a bigger screen on your laptop, because you can plug a 42-inch monitor into it, and you don't have to worry about it, and you don't have to buy a great big machine to get that larger screen. Now let's talk about the resolution of your screen. I think an HD screen is perfectly adequate. I don't think you should go and spend a whole bunch of money. There are some Chromebooks out there that have 4K screens. I think that by and large, that's just a waste of money. You're only going to be looking at a 14-inch screen. HD will be more than adequate for you. Now, the next consideration on the screen is so important, and that's a touch screen. So the first thing is that, do you need a touch screen on your Chromebook? Well, we'll talk about that in a second. The other thing you consider is flipping it. Now, as you know, in this diagram, you'll see a Chromebook can flip onto itself, and we call these either flips or 360 models. There's a lot of terminology you'll see, but that's where the Chromebook can turn over on top of itself and become a tablet. Now, you're going to say, well, why would I want to do that? Well, one of the advantages of your Chromebook is when you get your new Chromebook and you open it up and turn it on, you're going to find a little button in there called the Play Store. Yes, you've heard of that from your phone. Yes, your cellular phone. All those great apps that you use on your cellular phone are all going to be available to run on your Chromebook. And you're going to get them at the same place. You're going to go to the Play Store and you can download and run all your favorite apps on your Chromebook. I'm always amazed when I watch people and how proficient they are at the thumb thing. And you see little thumbs flying like crazy and people running all these apps on their on their phones. It's really amazing how people have adapted to the touchy-feely things on phones. So let's think about this for a second. If you're going to use those apps and you're going to use them on a Chromebook, do you want to use them with a keyboard? It's so important to consider that, because you'll be much happier if when you open the screen up and turn it over and it's in tablet mode and you can continue using it like a big phone, right? You don't have to spend $2,000 or $3,000 on a foldable phone. You've got a great screen now that you can use to take notes or however you're going to do, and it works and with the touchy-feely thing because it's a touch screen. So I think it is so important, depending on the type of application you're going to use your Chromebook for. If you think that's something you're going to do, for sure you want to get a touch screen, but if you do get a touch screen, you need to get it so it flips and it opens up onto itself and then into a tablet mode. So that's really important, and I think a big purchase consideration of your device. How much RAM should you get in your new Chromebook? For those of you who are using your Chromebook for special situations, such as if you are a gamer, or suppose you're a very heavy user and maybe even using your Chromebook for some video editing, or even maybe running Linux. Well, if you have specific applications that you want to run, you know what the specifications are. For all the other people that are going to purchase a Chromebook, you're probably going to have either 4 gigabits or 8 gigabits of RAM. Now remember that the Chrome operating system is just an itty-bitty little operating system. In fact, there's 2 copies on your Chromebook. There's a primary copy and a secondary copy, and it's always the secondary copy that gets updated, so you never get bothered. So unlike Windows, RAM is really not that important. The engineers that design these Chromebooks really figure that out. Now, I would encourage you to look at reviews on Chromebooks before you buy them. And Chrome Unboxed, and I'll put the link down below, is an excellent website that does reviews of Chromebooks, and Robbie Payne reviews most of the new Chromebooks that come out. And you want to look at some reviews, and you'll find that a lot of times they're only 4 gigabits of RAM, and it's a great machine. So you don't have to be concerned like you are in Windows. Now you will find that if you have a touch screen and a higher end model, you'll probably find it with 8 gigabits of RAM. So how big a hard drive should you get in your Chromebook? Well, it's important for you to know that Chromebooks, since their very inception, have only had solid-state drives. There's no such thing as a spinning drive in a Chromebook. So you don't have to worry about that. They're all fast hard drives. Again, unlike Windows, which is a huge operating system, and Chrome OS being such an itty-bitty little thing, you don't need much hard drive space on your Chromebook. Most of Chromebooks work through Google Drive, and in fact, you'll be storing your files in the cloud. But there are a lot of options for you. And of course, if you have, again, specific requirements and you need more space, then sure, look at a Chromebook with a larger hard drive. Now, if you are concerned about the size of the hard drive on your Chromebook, look for one that has an SD card that you can put in. Most of them will have SD card slots, and you're amazed that you can buy 1 terabyte, as you see in the diagram here. This was just on Amazon. This is a 1 terabyte SD card for $122. So you could just pop that into your Chromebook, and you now have a 1 terabyte hard drive in your Chromebook. Now, if you are a current Chromebook owner or considering purchasing a Chromebook, you will need to know the next bit of information. This is so important and really is a major announcement from Google regarding Chromebooks, and this occurred the last week in September of 2023. And that is the designation of Chromebook Plus. Now, what's Chromebook Plus? As you can see behind me, all the manufacturers got together with Google and decided to create a minimum standard that they could label Chromebook Plus as that standard. Now, you probably, if you come from the PC world, you've probably heard of i3, i5, i7, and i9. Those are Intel designations for sort of how fast machines go. Chromebooks, since their popularity now, there are so many makes and models and processors, it's hard for you really to compare one to the other. So Google decided to come up with a standard. And in order to get the Chromebook Plus designation, you have to have the standards that I'm going to discuss in a minute. Now, if you do have a current Chromebook and they do meet the Chromebook Plus standard, then they will be designated as Chromebook Plus. So it'll be easy when you go to the store and you're looking and you think, yeah, that's exactly what I need. And you can look across all models and just pick out the Chromebook Plus because it will have the following standards. And I'll tell you that in just a second. There's also something that Google has said they're going to do. I'm not sure I'm not sure how it's going to work, but they're going to be releasing some added software to run in the Chrome OS for Chromebook Pluses. And I'm just more to come on that in the future. But this is so important because I'm sure right now before Black Friday, the manufacturers are furiously relabeling all their packages and Chromebooks so that they can get this Chromebook Plus designation. So to get the Chromebook Plus designation, you'll have to have a 12th generation Intel Core i3 or a Ryzen 7 CPU. You'll need 8 gigabits of memory. You'll need 128 gigabits of local SSD storage. You'll need a 920 by 1080 IPS display, and you'll need a 1080p webcam with temporal noise reduction. Those are the features that you must have in a Chromebook before it will get a Chromebook Plus designation. Now, this designation will come on the box and be labeled so you'll easily be able to see it. Chromebooks will undoubtedly be, wherever they're sold, will be advertised with the Chromebook Plus label. So you're going to see this come out very quickly, and you're going to wonder what's that all about, because there will be some models that are probably fine. They'll be Chromebooks for you to use, but they won't have those set of standards. Well, it's Ron Brown with Tech for Senior. If you've enjoyed this video, please click that like and subscribe. All right, and I'm already seeing Chromebook Plus ads on TV now, so it's already happening. Bill, go ahead.
All right, good morning, all. Let me share my screen here. I've been working on a series which I've been calling How We Can Use a Mac with Windows. And so today we're going to talk about 5 ways to run Windows software on a Mac. So you don't really need a PC to use Windows software on a Mac. It's surprisingly easy to run Windows apps on a Mac, and you don't always need to run Windows to do so. Use these solutions to play PC games, run productivity software, or access Windows tools that lack a native Mac version. The first option is run Windows in a virtual machine. One of the easiest ways of running Windows apps is to use a virtual machine. This involves running Windows on top of Mac OS by virtualizing the hardware required to do so. Software is installed in a virtual machine behaves as if it was installed natively on a Windows PC, which means that compatibility is excellent, particularly in Windows 11. If you have a modern Mac model with an Apple Silicon chip, the M1 or M2, you'll be limited to using Windows 11 on the ARMS release, which performs surprisingly well. This ARM version of Windows has the compatibility with 64 apps written for the standard x86 version of Windows. which means that Windows 11 on ARM can run almost any app you throw at it without experiencing much of a performance penalty. If you have an Intel Mac, then you will be able to run a more widely used x86 version of Windows in a virtual machine instead. You also can use virtualization to run other operating systems on top of Mac OS, including Linux distributions or other Mac OS installations. If you want the smoothest virtualization experience, you'll need to open your wallet and buy something called Parallel Desktop. Parallel Desktop will download, install, and set up Windows 11 for you in a matter of minutes. It also supports 3D acceleration for games on Apple Silicon, which the other solutions lack. Other virtualization options would include VMware Fusion, which is a free version of VMware Fusion Player, VirtualBox, and UTM. Virtualization is useful since you can just launch any app and have access to Windows in moments. Apps like Parallel, which we mentioned before, have modes that allow you to effectively hide your Windows UI and use apps as if they were running natively on your Mac. Many virtualization apps don't require that you sacrifice disk space for your virtual machine, unlike dedicated Windows installations. Something to note, these virtual machine apps don't come with a Windows product key. So you can install and use Windows 11 without a product key, but if you want to get rid of the pesky activate Windows reminder, you also have to fork up for a Microsoft license. The second option is use Wine to run Windows apps for Wineskin. Wine is a compatibility layer that allows Windows software to run on top of Mac OS. It works by translating Windows API calls in real time, so performance in apps that use Wine is generally very good. That said, not all apps will work, and some will exhibit some odd behavior. Apps are more likely to crash or behave in unexpected ways compared to virtualization or running Windows natively. Wine might just be the solution you've been looking for. You don't need to install Windows natively, which means you don't need to dedicate disk space to Windows or run additional virtualization software. Wine apps appear on your desktop and in your dock just like native Mac apps do. The Wine project is still under active development, but Mac packages are no longer maintained. Fortunately, you can use a community-maintained tool called Wineskin to create wrappers for your Windows apps. It's recommended that you install and maintain Wineskin using something called Homebrew, a package manager for Mac OS. And you can easily install Homebrew on your Mac using a few terminal commands. And with that out of the way, install Wineskin by running the following terminal, and that's brew install cast no quarantine gcx wine unofficial Wineskin. This will install the Wineskin Winery app to your Mac, which you can then use to create wrappers and start installing Windows software. Wineskin works on both Intel and Apple Silicon Mac using Apple's Rosetta 2 transpiler. Wineskin works both on the Intel and Apple Silicon Macs using Apple Rosetta 2 transpiler. The third option is use Crossover Mac to run Windows apps. It's also built on Wine. Crossover Mac is a paid software that can help simplify the process of getting a Windows application working on your Mac. Available with a free trial, Crossover Mac costs $74, and it walks you through the process of installing Windows software with installation profiles available for many other popular applications. Where apps lack profiles, Crossover can help you make your own. Crossover is particularly popular among gamers who want to run Windows games on Apple hardware. Crossover works on both Intel and Apple Silicon models, though Mac owners with Apple ARM-based chips will currently need to rely on Rosetta 2, which can introduce a small performance penalty. However, you can use the free trial of Crossover to test out many apps before you buy, and it's cheaper than buying a Windows license or a premium virtualization tool like Parallels Desktop. You can use a single Crossover license to run Windows apps on Mac OS, Linux, and Chrome OS as well. The fourth option is use Boot Camp to install Windows on an Intel Mac. If you have an Intel Mac, you can install Windows natively on your Mac using Boot Camp, Apple's dual boot Windows partitioning tool. If you have a modern app Silicon Mac with an M1 or M2 or later chip, then you won't be able to use Boot Camp, which means you can't install Windows natively. Windows 11 on ARM can be installed directly on a Mac, and you can only install it on a virtual machine. Mac owners will find Boot Camp Assistant under the application's utilities. Run it and follow the instructions to partition your drive for Windows installation. Boot Camp officially supports Windows 10 only, since Windows 11 requires the TPM module or support. And lastly, option number 5 is which one I use, is to access your Windows remotely with remote desktop tools. If you have a Windows PC already, but simply looking for a way to interact with it on your Mac, maybe your Windows machine is in your bedroom, or primarily use your Mac in your study or wherever. You can use remote desktop software to make use of the hardware you already have remotely over a network. This can work both over the internet or at a local network. But keep in mind that using a machine over the internet can incur a severe latency penalty. You might be able to help fix a friend's computer over the internet or check for files in your documents folder, but you won't be able to play games or use most software in this way. Local network connections are far more stable, particularly if you have a wired network inside your house. Wireless works well as well, but Wi-Fi, of course, is subject to all sorts of interference and bottlenecks. Faster is always better, whether you're networking over a cable or airways. So if your Google Chrome browser, if you use the Google Chrome browser, then the Chrome Remote Desktop is a worth a shot. It's completely free that uses Google. Accounts for the remote access using a browser extension. DW Service is another free solution that provides access to your computer via a web page. Other free remote access tools include AnyDesk and Tiger VNC. So in conclusion, if none of the solutions above appeal to you, it might be worth putting in some time to hunt for a suitable Mac alternative that runs natively. You can use websites like Alternative to, ask on message boards like Apple Support Community or the Mac apps, or simply scour the web for your favorite search engine. Excuse me. So the references and acknowledgments to this presentation is How To Geeks, and the article was written by Tim Brooks, who's a freelance writer, and also Chris Hoffman. 5 ways to run Windows software on a Mac. I'm Bill James.